Somebody recently posted a very powerful question to me, which I think is really worth giving some time to, and that was, why is it important to understand the unconscious mind and how can exploring it enhance my life? Well, very good question. I'll try to give you a brief answer on this very large topic, which for your information, I will go into much more deeply in my upcoming Soul Guidance workshop, and I'll actually show you the anatomy of the unconscious and the whole psyche so you really understand it. And I will show you something very few people understand, which is how the unconscious processes information, which I think you'll find very, very fascinating. So first of all, the unconscious mind is vast. Your conscious mind, which you're perceiving me through right now, which we typically associate to the ego, is only about 3 to 5% of the total consciousness that you're aware of at the unconscious and conscious level at any given time. Consider, for example, there are 30 billion biochemical reactions a second in the human body. Some books on physiology and things, on the body say that there's 100 trillion cells in the average human body. Nassim Harriman says each cell is made of 100 trillion atoms. It is your unconscious mind that is managing all of that, all those biochemical reactions. It's keeping you breathing, and your unconscious mind, by the way, is inclusive of the subconscious mind, which is the intelligence of the body, the wisdom that comes by way of the DNA, and all the inner knowing of how to digest, metabolize, assimilate, growth, repair, healing, etc. But the unconscious mind actually holds a memory of every single experience you've ever had, including your experience in utero, which has been demonstrated by hypnotists to be information that can be retrieved and verified. For example, someone can have a hypnosis put them under hypnosis, and they will tell something about something early in utero, even when experts say that a child can't remember such things, and give accurate descriptions which can then be verified by the mother, such as internal problems or emotional problems or the stress of a divorce or a combative relationship with the father. So when we're dealing with our unconscious mind, we're dealing with something very vast and very, very powerful that has a lot of control over us because it is the majority of what we call our mind, and it is a huge aspect of what we call the soul. Bruce Lipton says in his teachings that the unconscious mind is about 1 million times more powerful in its ability to process information than the conscious mind. So the unconscious mind includes everything that you're not consciously aware of. A simple technique I teach my students to help them understand the unconscious mind is to just make your hand into a little tube like you'd be looking through a gun sight. And for example, right now I can see my wife sitting behind the camera, but I can't see anything else. I can only see what's in that little hole. So that represents the conscious mind. Now, a lot of people don't realize that the unconscious mind includes everything else. I cannot see the sun, I cannot see the moon, I can't see the tides of the ocean, I can't see what's going on outside and around me, but every bit of that is creating the reality that we're experiencing. So some of the important aspects of the unconscious mind are the parts of ourselves that we had to begin to repress during the period of childhood when we were getting what is called an enculturation process, such as learning the rules of what you should and shouldn't do, what kind of relationship you can or cannot have with your sex organs. 85% of people come from families with religious affiliation, so we have all the rules that this or that God imposes upon us, and those go into exclusion of certain types of music. You have to dress a certain way, certain types of dance are not permitted. As I said, sexual restrictions. There's restrictions on how you use your money, certain types of food you can or can't eat, clothes you can or cannot wear, hairstyles you can or cannot have, and the list is very long. So within the soul is the genius within us that wants to express itself in the world and often feels very repressed or limited or stifled or even choked by all these limitations. And when we have to push these urges down, such as our urge for sexual pleasure, then that's called repression, and it does not stop it from acting through us. In fact, that energy builds up inside of us, and it leads to a lot of addictive behavior because people are looking for some kind of a way to medicate it. And Jung showed very clearly that it is repression of such things and repression of other things, such as maybe you're married but you're not happy in your marriage, and so you're really desiring a more deeply fulfilling and even more sexually fulfilling relationship, but you don't want to cheat on your partner, so every time you see someone or interact with someone that's sexually exciting to you or you have natural harmony with, you have to repress that, and all that emotional energy builds up inside of you and it starts to have a personality of its own. And to manage that, we develop what Jung explained as a neurosis, which is a variety of coping mechanisms and behaviors that can be anything from biting your nails to picking at your skin to having a fixation on your body and the way you look, perfectionist type behaviors, to over-exercising and overeating is common, trying to fill the emptiness in yourself with food. Now there's a long, long list of them, a very, very long list of them. So in my upcoming Soul Guidance Workshop, I will be teaching you how to look into yourself and how to use practices such as shadow work practices to identify what these unconscious contents are and how to work with them and how to decide whether or not what you carry in your unconscious is dream affirmative and is helping you achieve your goals in life, or whether it's actually something that's really stressing you. And many people are not conscious of it. That's why it's called the unconscious, but I'll show you techniques for identifying what is in the unconscious and making it conscious and working with it, and that's how we gain freedom. Now I'll close by saying there's been a long-running debate in philosophical circles and people that study the mind and behavioralists and psychologists, all the way to quantum physicists, as to whether or not we have free will. Well, the answer is we inherently have free will as a soul, but the problem is, to the degree that we're acting out unconsciously, we're like a train on tracks. We can't just turn whenever we want to. We're limited by the tracks, which represents our programming. So this is why so often you hear people say, I don't know why I said that. I knew I shouldn't have said that. Or I don't know why I did that. I knew I shouldn't have did it, but I did it anyhow. And they get upset at themselves and usually create more unconscious baggage. And there you go. That's a classic example of not having free will. I've worked with many people that have eating disorders and body weight challenges, and they say the same kinds of things. I know I shouldn't eat that, but I just can't seem to stop myself. So in the workshop, we want to look into what are some of the drivers that are held in the unconscious, how do we make them conscious, and how do we transform those in ways that are dream affirmative and life affirmative to give you more freedom. So I'd love to share more with you, and if you'd like to join me at my upcoming 2-day workshop on how to connect deeper with your soul and get soul guidance, I'll be taking you through a wide variety of different practices, procedures, and methods, and I'll be teaching you the anatomy and physiology of the spirit and the soul, and you'll get to hang out with amazing people who are just as committed to healing, growing, and being the change the world needs now as you are. See you there.